Testing 1 2 3 testing. Whoa. Reload 1 2 3 testing. Hey, how's everybody doing? It is Monday and it's time for the .NET lunch stream. My lunch period is a little bit early today, so because of that, we have an early stream. Let's see here. I'm just checking auto volumes. It looks like I'm a little hot. I'm gonna bring myself down just a hair. See if that helps with the test 1 2 3 test. All right, that seems like it's good. Let's see here. Let's see if we can get chat open. Where's chat not opening? There it is. All right. We got chat open. Everything looks like it's right. Let me just double check to make sure YouTube is going. And I think we can get started here. Let's do another window over here and just check YouTube real quick. Oh, that's weird. Come on, YouTube. All right. We got chat open. All right, we got YouTube open and YouTube's working. All right, so hey, where are we? We are working on a Mac application. This lunch stream is designed for doing weird things in .NET that you normally wouldn't do. And one of the things I'd like to do is build a Mac app. Why not? It turns out you can. You can use it with .NET 7 even. And so we've got that. Just started out here. Let's go ahead and just debug for anybody that's new maybe to the lunch stream and see where we're going here. And see if we can't... get what's going on here. So let's see here. It's going to ask me for my password because the developer tools that's off the screen right now, but I had to log in real quick and let's see, my app should run. Let's see here. We've got a username and password. That's it. Let's go ahead and I don't even remember what the username and passwords are anymore. Let's go see if we can steal the username and password from our authentication service. Let's see here. Services. We got the authentication service. And I think we have some hard-coded ones. So we have Jane Doe with a password of password12. Just grab that. Go back to our login page here. And jane.doe@hackney.com. Password there. And I should see in the logs right here. Let's see here. Where's my bundle put? That should be my logs. Where's my... There's my app output. Route to main view. And if we look at our authentication view code, what we should see is a line here that says, hey, if it worked, what's route to over there? Now, let's go ahead and log in wrong. Let's see what happens. We should get an error message. So let's just take 2 of those out. And you can see here, username or password is incorrect. Now, we don't show that right now. We probably need to make a label on this to show that. In fact, let's do that. Let's start by modifying this a little bit and see if we can't get a label to show when we're wrong. And that sounds like a good place to start. So let's see here. We're going to do that. To do that, we're a storyboard. So we're going to update the storyboard file to add that label. So that should launch Xcode, which it is currently bouncing on the dock, which I know you can't see. It's off stream or off the monitor currently right now, but it takes forever, but it has bounced and it is trying to do something. I probably should have had that pre-opened before we started the stream. Validating the simulator. That's great. Xcode, I'm glad you're doing your job of validating, but I would just like to modify my storyboard, please. Maybe let's try double clicking on it again. Nope, there it goes. All right, we got it. Xcode's trying to do its job here. All right, here we go. Here's our storyboard file. I'm going to make it so we can see it on the stream as best as possible. You can see here we got our authentication view controller here. And inside here we got a view. Inside the view we've got a stack view, another stack view. And we're nesting stack views because we want these two to be aligned. And then we want these to be a vertical stack so they all, have equal space in between each other. So in the vertical stack right here, we have a horizontal stack that's basically vertically stacking these again. So if we look here, it's in this stack that we want to add our label. So how we add a label, we hit a little plus sign here in Xcode, and we're going to add a label. And we're going to turn it off by default, and we'll have that display error message. So we need to put it below login. There we go. And we're just going to say error message. For the title right now, we can make the background. We don't want to make the background. We want to make the text color red. Yeah, error message. Red error message. That seems like it's cool. And then now we have to make something called an outlet, if you remember right. So how we do that normally is we want to get our code open. So we want to make another window. But our window this time, we want to open up our header file. And we're going to go into here, find our view controllers, and find our header file. And this is where we need to drag to. We need to make an outlet for this so that we can, you can see here we've got some outlets already. We need to make a new outlet so that we can control this darn thing. So we're just going to drag over here. We're going to make it an NX. Ooh. Why is that a text field? Text fields you can actually. Really? Is that what a label is? Doesn't seem like it's right. It is an NX text field. Read only. Okay. Never mind. Used to iOS going, ooh, boy, that doesn't seem right, but I guess it is right. So we're going to say label error message. And that's going to be our outlet for that. Now, what we want to do is by default, we want to make its visibility to false because we don't want to draw this thing unless the error message is there. So I'm looking to see if there is a way to do this. I don't think state enabled does what you think it's going to do. I don't think that's going to fix it. Action, we don't care. Behavior, nope. But layout truncates, none of that really matters to me all that much. All this is normal stuff. All right, let's see if we can do it in C#. We'll go into here. We should be able to close this, and it's going to ask us, do we want to save? The answer is yes, we do want to save because we're making some changes. And so let's see what happens here. Our outlet should have updated. We can check that by going into our view controller here and go into our code behind our design file, and we should see our new label right there. Perfect. So now what we got to do is in our view controller first, and our view will appear. We got to tell it by default that the label is going to be this disabled. Visible is show. How do I hide a text field? What's that Copilot? Let's get that open. Let's get ChatGPT open and see if we can ask ChatGPT some stuff here. Let's go to chat.ai.com. Where is our, here we are. Let's say, how do I hide a text field in AppKit using C# and .NET? Let's see if it can tell us. And Xamarin Mac AppKit application. Yep, that's what we got. Ooh, how I stumped. Hey, oh, the cam. That's weird. Actually, the cam should be on. Let's see what's going on here. Let me check the camera. Camera's there. Wonder if I have to hide and show it to get it to show up, or do I have to just move it? I've had this problem before where let me go to right. Come back. Still no camera. Let's do this real quick. Live fix sources. It'd be video import, right? Video capture device and webcam and add source. Yikes. Well, that's bad. You can see me, and that's all you can see. That's not good. Well, let me see if I can fix this now. Live editing of the camera. I think my mug there, maybe just a little bit over here. That should be good enough. I'm not the star of this stream. It is the code that's the star of the stream. So this is my personal lunch stream for everybody. Matt, welcome to the G. Why does ChatGPT number everything 1? There's a hidden field. Okay, well, here we go. Hidden. So I tried visible. Invisible was wrong. The right answer was hidden for $100, Alex. Let's try that. So we'll say label. And oh, by the way, if you're trying to see what values you have, one of the things you could do is this, and this will greatly reduce the amount of stuff that shows up in IntelliSense. Of course, this is not necessarily needed, and if you can type enough, that will help the IntelliSense, but not what I wanted the code complete. But sometimes hidden is, or excuse me, trying to get your options labeled down in IntelliSense helps. This would obviously say I just want to know the stuff that's inside this view controller. And so we got this view controller going here. We've got the login, and then if somebody errors out, we want to say label error message equals hidden equals true. And then we want to go through and show that. So we're going to say label error message dot text, or it's not text, it's a string value equals is authenticated error message. And that's our tuple that we wrote last week. And now we can just get let's loop this right now. That should fix our error message thing. Now the next problem is going to be is that we need to disable the error message if they authenticate in. This could get tricky. What we may not have to do is add an event so that if they type in anything in the username or password box that the error message disappears, because otherwise it's a pretty crappy experience. This was hacking.com, right? I think this was password 1, 2. Okay, so that was the right password. Let's type it wrong now. Invalid exception thrown, invalid operation, and system link. I didn't use system link. That's pretty weird. Let's put a breakpoint in and see if we can see if we're even getting to this and see if that's maybe where the problem is. Go back here, click login. Okay, so we're getting here. Oh, hidden is true. That's going to cause some problems. It should be false. Let's try that again. Play it again, Sam. All right, .NET's coming open. Chain. Let's say blah, blah, and just see if we can get the error message to appear. All right, so false. Step to next step. String value. Oh, I already think I know what's going on with this. No, that worked. I wonder where the link exception is getting thrown, though. That's kind of interesting because I don't use link at all in the application. Let's see if our error message, using our password's incorrect. That is the proper thing we want to display. But now the problem is if I type anything, that should go away because that should give me another try, if you ask me, right? I mean, that's just my personal opinion. I think that's the behavior I want. So there is an event on the text fields, and we would have to do it here in the view will appear. We'd have to register for the text change event. So we'd have to say text field username did begin editing plus equals, and I think this is an event hook. Did I don't want the notification. I want the hook for this. Let's see here. Did begin editing. That is the hook, but why is it NS? See, what I want to do is this. Yeah, let me Copilot. I'm obviously forgetting something, but I know for a fact that that's the method. I just can't remember why I can't do a lambda inside of it. I think I have to do the notification as a pointer and then do that. Let's try. Let's find out though. Okay. How do I hook into the event when a text field value changed in AppKit using C# and .NET? The method is, I think it's did begin edit. Was that what it was? Let's check again. Text field username did begin editing. That's the only event I care about, and I can do it on both of them. And then when that basically fires, let's see if Copilot can tell me what to do with this situation. It's thinking about it. The changed event. Oh, they wrap it into a changed. Oh, this is pretty cool. Okay, well, this is way easier. Look at this example from Nib. From Nib. Nibs don't exist anymore. That's super old school. They're now zib files, ZIB. Nib was a next step interface builder file, but that's when the interface files were binary. They're now XML. Yeah, so right here we go. We just have a function here, and so this is where we can do our lambda. Oh, they make a good point though. If we do just a lambda, we'll have a memory leak. So we need to let's grab this code real quick here, because we're going to use that. But we don't want all the codes. So we want to be able to do is say here, because we'll have to destroy it when we're done, make some memory. And in here we want to say, all we have to do is say equals true. And then we'll just need to make 2 pointers to this method. And then we can clear it out also. We'll say label error message dot string value equals string dot empty. All right, so now what we have to do is we have to worry about 2 things. We have to override view will disappear. Because we'll need that to get rid of the pointer that we're going to make to the handler. So now what we can do is just say, let's just start with, boy, really missed those VI key bindings right now. Set default values, and then we're going to also then set up events for text change to hide show error message. So we're going to say text field username changed equals, and what was that method called? We called it this. That should get us a functional pointer to that. That's a bit here. That should be null. I mean, it's a function pointer. Oh, let me just check the syntax. Am I doing the syntax right? Yep, plus equals. Okay. Oh, editing began. Wait, no, that's not what we wanted. Wait, the change, using changed event. However, specifically detecting editing has started. I just want to know when it changed, so I don't care about that. I want to use the changed event. That sounds like it's way better. That sounds like it's a way better solution to my problem. Let's try this, see what happens. So we have the changed here, and then what we want to do is when view will disappear, we need to take that pointer out. By the way, folks, in all my years with .NET and doing iOS and stuff with Xamarin, this is the most common memory leak I've ever found. But we want handle editing that we want changed. So there is, I see no change to event. Oh, no, duh. That's right. This is the event name that's wrong. Let's rename this. Text field value changed. Let's do that. That's a better name for it. Let's see here then. That's good, and then that's good here. That should do it. Let's try it. I know it's saying it's nullable. It's not nullable. Is it saying that the event could be nullable? No, because the event's not completing. Blah. And oh, I still got my breakpoint. Let's get rid of the breakpoint and hit continue. Go back to my UI, see what happens here. Okay, we got it. So now let's, there we go. Error message goes away. And obviously we're pushing up and down because of constraints. Do I care about that right now? Boy, that's a lot of work to fix. Am I gonna get like picky this early on in the game? Oh, this is supposed to be Acme, that's why. I could put that in the backlog and fix it in the future. We would have to get rid of our stack views because we would want static placement. Right now we're cheating. Let's take a look at this and let me explain what the problem is here. Because I was going with easy mode. I like easy mode whenever possible. If we go back to our storyboard here, our constraints are basically just in a stack view. So what the stack view says, and this is actually works in Xamarin very similar. Like if you were using like Xamarin Forms or Maui, it would kind of be very similar behavior that with a stack view, we grow and shrink the stack view as items get added. So there is no constraints on the individual item. So the problem is that when this is not visible, it's going to fill the stack view because we can see here, one second here, if we go back to that stack view, look at it, its distribution is set to fill. Now that means that each element's going to draw and they're going to have alignment of center and spacing of 30. So 30 pixels between each items. So right now it's going to calculate the first one based off of the height of the top of the window. And it's going to go down and draw these, and then 30 pixels, draw another one, 30 pixels, draw another one, 30 pixels. Well, there's not this because it's hidden, so it won't be drawn at all. So because of the fact that it's not drawn, it will always take that out, and so then it's going to recenter it. But now once we add that in, it's going to add that 30 pixels. That's going to shift everything up a little bit because we have another component in there. Now, there are some really hackery ways to solve this problem. I've seen some pretty interesting solutions to this. So I saw one team, this is a while ago, I'm not going to name the name. Jacob, if you ever watch these, you're going to laugh at this because you probably remember this. One solution I've seen somebody do is to change the color of the font to be the same as the background. And the theory would be is that the text would always be there. You just couldn't see it unless you hovered over it and selected with your mouse, but the text would basically always be there, so it would always draw. That's a terrible solution because of the fact that somebody were to come down here and highlight with their mouse, they'd see the error message that you have with the color. And so the theory would be if the error message shows up, just change the color. In the world where you didn't care if somebody could select the error message down there, and if you set it to a blank string, by theory, technically speaking, that would work. It would mean you don't have to use constraints. I've seen so many people do so many things get around trying to do constraints. You know, they don't want to do constraints because they think they're hard. Constraints aren't hard, to tell you the truth. They're tricky if you don't know what you're doing, but it's a basic algebra formula. Let's think about this for a second. If you know a plus b equals c, okay, and you don't know the value of b, you can see c minus a equals b. Well, that's what the constraint system is all about. The constraint system is about trying to figure out how to draw all the elements on the screen. Now, I need enough information to be able to calculate the pixel coordination of every control that you have on the window. Now you can get away with having some things be blank as long as you can do the algebra formula of find their values based on other values set forth. And so that's the secret to the constraints. You need to have most of them figured out The example I'll give you is like the height constraint. If you want your text to automatically grow and shrink, you can get away with that. You can put all the constraints you want in. You can say, hey, I want it to be 50 pixels from the left and right of the screen, excuse me. I want it to be at least 20 pixels of padding between the thing that's above me, and I want at least 50 pixels of padding of the thing below me. Now, if you did that, you technically speaking have constraints, and you could calculate that. And if the text, were to increase in size, it would just pop everything. It would shift the UI, but that would work. But if you don't have like the left screen figured out, right? You don't tell how many pixels over to the left, you're gonna have problems. Because it's gonna be like, I don't know how to calculate where to put this to the left. So when you have multiple things unknown, the constraint system gets really bad. But if you know what you're doing, you can get away with this. And you can even make some of these dynamic and set two things, the hugging and the, I know people say, what, the hugging? Yeah, there's some interesting words in the words of constraints. So you have your let's see here. You have your priority, and you have your hugging, and your I can't think of the other word now. What is the other word that Apple uses for this? This is the wizard that will try to add constraints in for you. It's not squeezing. The other word, I can't think of the other word. Hugging and what's that? ChatGPT. What are the two words? In constraints and AppKit. What are the two types of values I can set for spacing between two controls? I know. Now I know one that I know one is hugging. What is the other? Hugging priority. I knew that. Yep. Compression. That's it. Compression. Shouldn't have known it. Duh. Your compression resistance. Yes. So these two things allow you to kind of understand how the text is going to, or any component, really, or control is going to be able to interact with each other. That's what the compression and hugging does. Two interesting words. If you're doing Mac development natively, in AppKit or UIKit, it turns out UIKit and AppKit are very similar. The constraint system works the exact same way. In fact, I learned the constraint system on iOS using just native iOS app development and applied that logic to AppKit. And I've done a couple of AppKit apps in my life. But before we had a different system. Before that, we had what are they called? The little squiggly lines, the magnets that you would put magnets to everything. And it was a system before constraints, anyways. And it was painful. That's the only way I can describe it. To get everything the way you wanted it, unless you hard-coded pixel coordinates on everything. But the problem is if somebody grows and shrinks the window, that sucks. That's not a great solution. So I've talked a lot about the solution to this problem. Let's think about this for a second. Do I want to get multi-window working today or not? I think we can move on and we'll go back to fix that because I probably need to make it look nice. Probably need to get a logo for the login page and stuff and talk about colors. Right now we're just trying to get functionality. So I think I could, like, this is functional. Does it look nice? No, but it's a MVP status, minimum viable. Yeah, you can type a username and password in and it will get past it. And if there's an error, it will show up. That's viable to me. So let's talk about, like, how do we get a new window? Oh, this is going to get real tricky here. So the problem is that, like we described it, we want the behavior of similar to Xcode. Let's close some stuff out so we have some room to breathe. You can see here we have a window controller and a window. And then we have a view, and the view is owned by the controller itself. Now, if I were to open Xcode, I happen to have Xcode open here. Oh, you can't see it because I have Xcode open. Let me close Xcode out and show you this behavior. For those of you that maybe are .NET people that don't know Xcode's behavior. So Xcode's behavior is they get you this welcome screen. And this welcome screen is in a floating window. It's hard-coded in size. You can't change it. And that's something we'll probably want to do long-term in the login box. This will solve a lot of problems. We'll make sure it's single document, which means you can't make more than one of the windows open up because that'd probably be bad. And this has to do with something called documents, and that's how windows work in Mac. Each window is like a document, and you can have multiple windows. And so within that, we want to make our login look like this, and then when you open up the project, it would go to a different window. That's our goal. So in order to do that, though, we'd have to make another window. Now, the crazy thing is that technically speaking, you don't need a pointer to the window per se, unless you need to do some business logic to bring it open. That's the trick of the trade here. Let's ask Copilot how to close and open a new window. So in app.net, I think I know the answer to this. You'd have to have a pointer to it. I think we have to make a pointer to it, and then we would pass it over. The new window will have a view controller inside of it, or excuse me, a navigation controller first, so that we can navigate to multiple items. And then from that, the navigation controller will handle moving around views and stuff. And by doing that, we don't have to worry about having like each window being separate and stuff. In AppKit, using C#, how do we close one window and open a new window of a different window type? I think that's good enough, because we have to hear from the window. To close one window, open another one, you'd usually close the current window. Create instance of the new window, show the window. Yeah. Yep, I do. I have main window. I'm not going to call it second window, but this is the exact situation I'm in. Close the current window. From within the controller or any element, you can access the window and close it. This window closed. Yep. Create an instance of the new window controller in the window. And then from main window controller, open second window. Close, and then second window. Yeah, so that's still going to be the problem, is that they could get garbage collected. We almost need to do this from inside of the delegate. So in old school days before this, there was a root, basically. You'd say this is the root view controller for the application, and what you do, just swap it out, whatever root was. And by doing that, you'd always know, okay, this was the root. I think what we want to do is we want to make a hook inside of the app delegate and have the app delegate handle this. So when the user does it correct, we'll tell app delegate, hey, you go through and handle this window situation. And the app delegate, because the app delegate is the root of the application. All right, let's go take a look at this real quick. I think this is going to get us our guaranteed best performance and less chance of memory leak. So you see here, inside of app delegate, there's actually something called the root. And this dot window, or what is it? This dot application, nope. I know the app delegate has a pointer to this. How do I find it though? Let's see here. Let's ask Copilot. From the app delegate, how do I get pointer to the current window open in C# using .NET? I want the current window. NS application, shared application, key window. This is where, yes, so this is where we would want to send in but can I close? Yep. So it's basically saying then once you have the current window, you have to typecast it to see whether or not it's the actual window that you want, because it could very well be a different window. And so that's exactly what we'd have to do. All right, well, I think we have more than enough logic to do here. Let's try to destroy some stuff. I mean, let's try to make stuff work. Right, we don't want to destroy stuff. That's child talk here. All right, so we want to make a new window. And we'll see here, we have a window controller. Now, ooh, look at this. Oh boy, I like this already. A window controller with a sidebar built into it. And the safe area and guides are enabled. Okay, I'll be honest with you. I've used split view all the time, but I've never used one that has pre-built in. I've always built it by hand because of constraints and a bunch of other reasons. I've always added in. In fact, you can pretty easily make the mail view where you basically have a sidebar over here, and then you put another in a split view where you have a top and bottom, and it kind of looks like Outlook then, where you have your folders over here, and then you have your messages, and then you can below it can read your message. It's actually pretty easy to do using 2 split views. But then you have to send messages across so that if the message selection changes, you have to send a message over to the other part of the split view to tell it to update its view and draw the new message that you have selected. I'll actually, none of it's really tricky here. I'm kind of curious how this works, so I think we're going to try this. Let's try this in. Let's see what happens here. Wow. Okay, already. This is pretty crazy bonkers. So we get a view controller, and we get a toolbar, and we get a view, two views for free. Oh, wowzers. This is bonkers. Okay, so this over here is the main view. Okay, so this is the one that's going to draw over here in the split view. And this one is the content view, or the detail view, right? So we have main and detail. And they're split automatically off of the split view controller. And so this is where you'd have like your list of companies, for example, when you log into the CRM system. But we'll have a tab that we may want to send messages over to this view and have it change what we draw there. For right now, let's put a label in here just so we know everything works. Actually, we'll put a stack view in to start out with, a vertical stack view into here. We'll pin it in the full view. And then let's go through and embed it. We can embed it by setting the constraints for horizontal and vertical centering. Actually, no. I should be able to just do the 4 edges of the screen. 1, 2, 3, 4 with 0 padding. That should automatically make that then the full length of the screen. And now what I could do is inside that view controller, or excuse me, in that stack view. So in this view controller here, oh boy, this is going to be really interesting. We are doing some crazy stuff here. If this works, I'm going to be ecstatically happy. Label. So let's bring a label in, and we're just going to bring it in here, and we're just going to say hello world from main view. Okay, that looks cool. And let's see here. Stack view should be centered, and then we want it to fill 30 spacing. You see here, it detached the view because there's nothing else for the view to draw. So of course it's the stack view is telling this view controller to be not cool. We could put some constraints on the view to guarantee its height, and I think that that's what's going on right now. Because when I set the constraints to it, I set it to 0 for all of those. Leading. We'll see what happens with that. So we'll eventually need to make this so we can have pointers to it, right? So this we'll call this main view. And so in here, what we want to do is we want to put the name of the view controller in here. The reason why we want to do that is so we can edit it in C#, and we can get pointers to it and stuff. If we put the name to the view controller in here, it'll auto-generate the C# class. That's pretty awesome. So let's try that. So I think we already have a view controller called main though, right? Let me check here. No, it's called auth view controller. So we only have auth. That's it. All right, so we're gonna call this main view. Well, yeah, main view controller. And then the storyboard ID, we're gonna make main view controller also. This is how you get it from a zip file, if you need to do it from code. And let's just go ahead and hit enter on that. And then this over here, this view controller, we're gonna call detail view controller. And we want to do the same thing over here. And then we want to do the same thing with getting a label. We actually just could put the label in the middle now I think about it and just put a center on it. Let's do this. Let's try this. So Xcode will give you guidelines and we'll say detail view. If you just put the text in and you drag over it, it'll tell you exactly where the center is. And then what we can do in here is we can just say under here, we can just say horizontally and vertically in the container. And that should center it. That's a better thing than the stack view we may get rid of. So let's do this. Let's get rid of this for right now. Oop, undo. Yeah, let's do that for right now. And then let's add a label and then do the same thing there. That way we don't lose our content. And then here we'll call this main view, like I said before. That should be it. And then now we can just go into our constraints here and make these horizontal vertically in the container. And that should get us those two there. So now we have the split view though. The split view, we're also gonna want a piece of code too. So we'll call, because we may have to send messages to both of these. So we'll wanna have a pointer to that. So we'll call this main, or we'll call this, yeah, main split view controller. And we'll need to be able to get this out also. And that way we can get a pointer to that. And then this Windows controller. Boy, main window controller. This is pretty cool if this all works. We'll need that, definitely want the main video controller, because you can see here we have some icons up here that we'll want, and the title and stuff. We want to be able to modify all that stuff in C#. So that's pretty cool. That should be all we need. So we've got our main window view controller up and stuff, and now we should be able to hopefully hide that and show the other one. So let's go ahead and click here. It's going to ask us, do we want to save? Oh yeah, we've made a ton of saves. We should probably try that. See what happens here. See if we see some code generation happening. There's our code generation happening. Look at this, folks. We can see that we have a main view controller. We have a main window controller now. So this is a view controller. So we're going to drag it up into our view controllers folder. And that way we have it and access to it. And then we have detail. We also want that to go in our view controller folder so that it's there. And then we'll keep the main window. We could probably make a folder for Windows, but honestly, there's not a lot. We probably just leave it in the root. So if we run this, just make sure the world didn't end. Nothing should change because we haven't really wrote any C# code to talk to this stuff yet. Yep, you see here, that's cool. So we can chain.go at acme.com password. So I'm going to put a logo up there so I can have it automatically fill in the password for me, because I'm getting sick and tired of typing that password in already. Make a little, as a developer in debug mode, I'll basically make it where the company logo has an event listener on it. And if you double click on it, it'll automatically generate the password into the username password field. I usually do this when I'm starting out development, just so I don't have to type in passwords over and over again, because I'm super lazy. And if you calculate how many times you have to look up a password and copy and paste it in, and you're debugging all the time, it's considerable. So this is a massive time saver. 1 second, I'm going to do a hydrate break here. All right. I should mute it for that. Sorry. Hydration completed. Hey, Clive, how's it going? Is this a planner? Code Cheater 11. Hey, welcome to chat, Clive. Clive's over in YouTube chat, so you won't be able to see him from Twitch, but he's over at YouTube. He says, "Is this a planner?" No, it's not a planner. This is a CRM system, a customer relationship management system. So we'll have a list of companies and contacts, and your contacts. You can have things like track their birthdays and their phone numbers, and usually in CRM systems, you have these things where you're targeting them for marketing reasons. You're like, "Hey, I want you to buy my new thing." So you'll usually have like companies and contacts that are on cold, like you get imported from somebody, that, or they call them cold calls, or you may have a contact that is actually a actual live client. So you want to know the status of like companies. Are they a client? Are they not? And then for companies that are already your client, you may want to be adding, selling value added services to them. And so you want to know what kind of things they already have. And then you want to track, oh, okay, they're not using this new product that you have. Oh no, that's Xcode. That's Apple's development tools for building Mac applications. So when I double click on the storyboard file, this is actually Xcode itself. This is Apple's literally development tools that if you were a native iOS developer or Mac developer, you're writing in Swift or whatever, this is their interface for it. And so if I was writing this application in Swift, and I was using storyboard files in AppKit, I'd be using the same editor for drawing out all the UI and stuff. The same tools. In Swift UI, most people don't know this. You literally can use the designer in Swift UI. That's the number one thing I think most people don't know. And what happens is, if you use the designer and you drag it out, it generates the Swift UI Swift code behind the scenes. And so that's a kind of cool thing in Swift UI that most developers just write the code by hand. I'm super lazy. I'll hit the plus sign all the time and say, I want a button. And then I just drag it out and then it'll write the code for me. And then I can go tweak the code as I need to. So you can have your cake and eat it over in Swift UI. A couple of things about this. This is your overview. So this window right here, this is your scrubber where you can, in the storyboard file, scrub around. And this is very much needed. This thing gets huge. I've had applications with over 50 view controllers in them, and you're trying to go through, yeah, it does. So Xcode is not generating the code, Visual Studio is. So this is how it works, the magic behind the scenes. In a AppKit project specifically, if you're using .NET and you're using either Rider or Visual Studio for Mac, these are the only tools. It does not work in Visual Studio for Windows, so that's completely out of the game. You have to have this on a Mac. But this main storyboard file here, they put something called a file watcher on it. And the file watcher is something that's built into .NET. And so when Xcode modifies the storyboard file and saves it, that file watcher will fire. And then what ends up happening, one second, what's going on here? That's weird. I was getting some static for some reason. Not sure where that was coming from. Hopefully that fixed it. So the file watcher runs, and really behind the scenes, if I actually go and open this file with a text editor, it's just XML. It's literally just XML. That's all storyboard file really has. However, the XML is relatively complicated inside of it. It's really huge and long, and anything you can go in here and change, you could very possibly break the entire application. So don't ever edit this by hand. Go watch my Swift streams if you want to see me screw up, edit something, and then break the entire application. Or no, I did that in this stream. A couple streams ago, I did Apple TV, and I modified the storyboard file by hand, and it broke my Apple TV app. The answer is don't do that. And I warned them on there, and then I broke the rules, and it was bad. So the answer is this XML, because it's just XML, the fire watcher will fire. It's going to see then that the XML's changed. It serializes the XML out, figures out what things have been added or deleted, and then automatically either generates the code or updates the code based on that. And that's the magic of how it works. It's really not magic. It's when it comes down to it, yeah, you can use this code in production. I mean, it's been 8 years ago, but 8 years ago, I wrote many iOS applications in Xamarin before Xamarin Forms existed. All you had was that. And so it was something called UIKit. I would build the UI and storyboard files and then write C# code behind it. And you could ship, I've shipped apps to the App Store like that, and it works just fine. It's pretty cool. Yeah, and so, yeah, I mean, I've literally written code for years using this particular methodology and stuff. It's pretty much a standard if you're .NET and you want to talk to storyboard files specifically in iOS or Mac. and Apple TV and Apple Watch. All 4 of those platforms support storyboard files. But this is kind of like the old school way of doing it. In this stream, we're just doing things that aren't normal. We're doing things that are still available in .NET, but most people don't even know they exist. That's the goal of my stream here. It's just to kind of show off that if you wanted to, you could literally build a native Mac application on your Mac using .NET. And it's actually easy, not hard. So let's see here. So we have this new window, right? This new main window controller. So we're going to try to build a method in here that we can tell the delegate to handle this crap, to say, hey man, you know what? The login's correct. Let's get this user, let's get this party started. Okay. So to do that, we're going to go back to Copilot here, our friend from GitHub here. And we can see here that we're going to want a method inside the delegate to handle this, and then we'll call that. So let's start by making the method, and then we'll see if we can get it to fire, and then we'll add the code in after. We'll go about that about, let's see here. And I am running out of time because I have meetings at 1. I had to start the stream early. So let's see if we can just do that. Let's go in here and make a new public method. We'll keep it from all these other ones. And I could use regions, but I used to work with somebody named Jason Block. I worked at a company called Magenic. They're a consulting firm. And he really hated regions. Oh man, I've heard some pretty epic rants from him on his hate of regions. Show main view. Main window. And so I could region this out. We'll just call it show main window controller. Do I have any tips for writing clean code? Well, one, you want to definitely get some kind of let's start out with user ID. And honestly, Visual Studio for Mac is probably a terrible way to write clean code. I'll be honest with you, Rider is probably the better solution. Let me close this out and show you Rider since that question came up. Let me save this and then close this out. And so the reason why I bring up Rider is because Rider has a lot more code clean tools built into it. So for example, here, if I go back, you can see here, all the files should be here. If I go back into my app delegate, Rider has some linting kind of stuff built into it. So there's something called a linter. A linter will go through and kind of check your code and make sure it's meeting certain standards. And so there are also things out there. So one of the most famous ones is Style Cop for .NET. Okay, so Style Cop is an analyzer. It will analyze your code and it will tell you, hey, man, your code looks terrible. And it will give you kind of some things to try to go through and fix your code. Like make sure that like your name variables are all right and stuff. Now, some of that stuff comes into Rider for free if you're using Rider. But if you're a .NET developer specifically, Style Cop is one of the more famous ones. And I don't know if Matt's still on the stream. Hey, Nick, how's it going? Matt Groves, a buddy who I work with at Couchbase, may have some better examples of that outside of Style Cop. Back when I used to do this a lot of time, I used a couple different products. One, Style Cop is pretty good. So most people don't know this. Sonar Cube is free and open source. And Sonar Cube is what we used at EY. And so this is a static code analyzer, very similar to like I said, to Style Cop. And this is a product that they have a free version, an open source version. They have an enterprise version that will scan your code from GitHub and stuff. But they have a linter. It's called SonarLint, and you can install SonarLint, and it's just into your IDE. And once you have it, it will look for code that looks bad. And it's pretty smart about how you write clean code. And so SonarLint, 100% free. The plugin, you can install it into your IDEs. You can see here, Visual Studio for the Mac does not support it, but IntelliJ, I know for a fact it works in Rider. It also works in VS Code. I don't use VS Code, but I know people that do, and it works fine there. So my recommendation is you get a linter. You get something like Style Cop, or you get Sonar Cube, like the Sonar linter, or you use just bare minimum Rider, because Rider's got a lot of really good tools built into it. Rider, most of the time, if you're paying attention to it, it will tell you when your code looks bad. It will give you these little squiggly lines, and it'll tell you certain things about it. Like right here, you see this little yellow squiggly line. It's saying something's bad about this. We'll see here it's saying nested comments explaining why this method's empty, or throw. So it's telling me this code looks ugly. because there's no comments to explain why it's empty. And it's just sitting here doing nothing. So it's already telling me to make my code cleaner. I should do something about this. I should either put a comment in that says, hey, to do finish writing code for this method. And this, their code analyzer will then look at it and say, okay, there's a comment, maybe, and to do also is a thing that you could do. Do your code have to be clean for production? I mean, honestly, I'll just be honest with you. It depends on how big your team is, and I've seen some pretty crappy code in production before my time. Your code should be readable and maintainable. That's the answer. If you can't read your code and understand how it works, you've got problems because you're going to be asked to modify it. And really bad code usually will have bugs in it, and then fixing the bugs makes it even harder to do. So you should have as clean as possible code in the sense that you should understand your code. It should be readable. And if you get hit by a bus, or I never want that to happen, but if something happens to you and you are no longer able to maintenance the code, somebody else should be able to come in, read the code, and have a pretty good idea how to maintenance it. Those are the rules of being a good developer and being cool. The rule of cool is help your fellow developer and yourself. Here's the real answer I'm going to give you. I've been the person where I've been burned by myself before, where I've got a really complicated code base. I didn't put enough documentation in, and all of a sudden 2 years later, somebody calls me up and says, hey, this code doesn't work. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Do you know why? They're like, nope. And okay, what's happening? Some obscure error message. Oh, that's great. Huh. And I've debugged it with them, go, well, that's weird. Who wrote this? We should go ask them how it works. They're like, huh, funny story. We're talking to him already. I'm like, okay, cool. Can we get him on the call? They're like, oh no, they're in the room with us right now. I'm like, really? And I'm looking around, who? And I realize it's me. It's me they're talking about. I'm the person that wrote it. And they brought me in because they're trying to ask me how to fix the code. This has literally happened to me. And it's an embarrassing moment when you go, oh crap, this is my code. I did this. I did this. This is my fault. Do you recommend just writing clean code from knowledge instead of using something like that? No, I've always used tools. I mean, no matter what, I'm going to make mistakes. I'm human. I'm rushing, doing certain things. You need your IDE to at least out there. You need something out there to help you maintain your sanity. So you can see here, this example here, it's saying, hey, this method's still empty. I've got yellow squiggly lines. I got to satisfy the IDE. And I recommend, like I said, Rider. Rider bare minimum has this built into it. They use ReSharper should be built into Rider, which is the tools that they use to give you a really good development experience on this kind of stuff. For .NET developer, bare minimum. Any other language and framework, you need to go find a linter for that language and framework or your IDE and get some plugins to help you with this, because you're just not going to, especially if you're new and you're starting out, you're not going to know what you don't know. So you're not going to know if your code's clean or not. You need some kind of tool to help you tell you that your code's clean or not. And that's important if you ask me for clean code. I never trust myself, and I can't trust any other developer. I write code sometimes late at night that's really bad. So I don't recommend that at all. I recommend getting some tools to help you. I mean, that's why we have IDEs. Otherwise, you can just write everything in Notepad, but we don't write things in Notepad because we want tools to help make us better developers, and that's what IDEs do. So get yourself a bare minimum Rider if you're a .NET developer, and make sure you have all the tools turned on for code analysis. And if you want something more powerful than that, look at StyleCop, look at Sonar Lint, one of those linters out there that, and there could be others out there. Those are the two I know I've used in the past. Those will help you. So let's just go through and see if we can fix this. Depending on a tool, could it be detrimental, right? Especially in interviews. Well, no, the concepts are out there, right? If I ask the developer an interview question, I could just ask them, what is a linter? What's the purpose of a linter? I don't care which one you've used, but you should know what a linter is, right? I should be able to say, what linters have you used in the past, and how do you make your code clean? If I ask in an interview, how do you guarantee your code's clean? One of the answers I would give or expect is a linter. I expect you to have some at least code basic understanding of what they are, especially like in Swift, for example. They're open source, but you have to manually install them. So like if you're doing Swift development, for example, you should have the Swift linter installed, and you should probably be using it because it's going to help you write better code, and it's going to tell you all the things that you probably shouldn't do, and you should have some idea of what that is. Well, algorithms are totally different, right? I mean, no code and analyzer is going to do that. You just have to understand the algorithm. I mean, the no ID is going to do your job for you when it comes down to it. If you don't understand the core basics of how to reverse or link list, the ID is going to help you get that to there. What it's going to help you do is find memory leaks. The thing I showed off earlier was the idea behind the. If we go look at our view controllers, I'll give you an example of like things that the ID is going to help you with. Right here is like this memory leak. You know, a good linter would come through and say, hey, you know, you got to make sure that you get rid of this thing. You clean this thing up because this is a pointer. This will cause memory leak. And if you have a good linter, it should tell you that, hey, it should check for the plus and then for the minus somewhere. And it should know that I cleaned up this delegate, because otherwise that, like I said, it's a memory leak. This view control will never come out of memory, even if I'm not using it anymore, because there'll still be a reference to it. And I'm just going to be chewing up memory. And that's really bad. So you have to make sure that you either do that by hand, or you have a linter or some kind of tools, a code analyzer to help you with that. And there's some stuff built into GitHub that's free, and then some stuff that's paid for in GitHub. Let's see here. Oh, so what I was going to try to do before we left here, just real quickly, I'm running out of time very quickly here. I've got a 1 o'clock, so I've got to rush here. All right, I've got my method done. Let's just see if I could typecast this out and get a pointer to it in the off control. I think then we'll pick this up tomorrow at our lunch stream, because this is only our stream. Let's go through here. So where was it where we authenticated? Right here. So with the view controller, we're just going to see if we can get the var delegate app delegate equals UI share our NS shared application shared application delegate as app delegate. And if app delegate is not equal to null, we know the typecast worked. And then what we'll do is we will then try to call we'll say app delegate dot main domain view controller. There we are. And then inside here, let's take this to do out, and then here we will go into main view controller. We'll go into the app delegate, and we'll just print hello world there. We'll see if that works, and then we can pick this up tomorrow and show in the view controller. Console.write line. Show main view here. Let's go ahead and try that. We'll go ahead and try to debug this and see if it works. For like understanding algorithms better and stuff, I mean, I highly recommend, there's several different websites that will get you, like teach you patterns and algorithms. And I highly recommend, Googling for those. I have one, I think, of my bookmarks I can try to grab one quick here. 1 second, let me just try this. I think it's acme.com, and, I think that's the right one, right? Show main view here. So we got it. So show main view here was in our app delegate. So we're able to call our app delegate. Our app delegate should be able to then dispose of the windows and show the new one. But I'm running out of time, and I do have a 1 o'clock hard stop here. So I do have to get this going. But I do like answering questions. Give me a second here. Let me see if I have the bookmark to one of the algorithm sites that I recommend, or patterns website that I recommend. Let me pull up one of my work tabs. Oop, that's not my work tab. Where is Chrome? Chrome. I know I have a work tab open. There it is. Let's see here. I do believe I have it because we have some juniors and on my team that I have had to have this talk with about being better about patterns, and we've given them some homework in the past of learning patterns. And so I have it. Let's see, where is it? See if I can find it. Just 2 seconds. If I can't find it, I will throw a link out. Oh, right here it is. I can't recommend this site enough. So this is a website of different patterns that you can learn. These are algorithm creational structural patterns. The cool thing about this is, for example, if I were to go take a look at the mediator pattern, some .NET people hate this, some people like it. It will give you an idea of what the pattern's about, the solution. But the cool thing is that it gives you not only the backend knowledge, but you actually can pick what language you want it to be in. And so they have the languages. You can just select what language you like, and then you can go through and see that. They have a whole book. If you go back to Refactoring Gurus, if I go to design patterns, and if I look at the catalog, I think, and how do I get the language select? I don't remember, but if you go look around this website, you can change the language from being JavaScript to one of the like 10 or 15 different languages. Here we are, code examples, C#. So if I click C#, now it's going to give me all the examples in C#. If I'm Java, Python, Ruby, Swift. So if you're a Swift developer, here's a Swift code that you can see that pattern in. Highly recommend this. Patterns are algorithms when it comes down to it. And I recommend learning the good portion of them and understanding when to use patterns and not to use patterns. This is a very complicated thing. Well, not complicated. Some patterns are easy, some are not. And I think that a lot of these are fair game on interviews. The command, you absolutely should know. If you're a .NET developer using Molly stuff, we use that pattern all the time. Mediator is pretty popular. The factory method I use all the time. Adapters I've used before, switching between data types. Facade, I was part of the team that built the mobile facade at one of the companies I worked at, facaded out our APIs to mobile platforms. So yeah, absolutely use that very much. Singleton, probably the most common one, and Observer. Observer is very important, especially for functional programming. So if you're going to get into functional programming, Swift, UI is functional. You want to get into any of the RX, like Java RX and stuff, you want to know the observable pattern. And state, of course, state is important. Redux is a pattern most people don't realize. Anyways, so go check out this website. It is refactoring.guru, and they have a bunch of cool stuff there. Can't recommend that website enough. But folks, I do have to run. I hate to do this, but it's only an hour stream. I have to eat and then go to a meeting at 1. So I got very few minutes here to eat and get to my next meeting. I appreciate you. I'll be back tomorrow at 12 o'clock Central Standard Time into 1 o'clock Central Standard Time. You can use the internet to figure out what that is in your time zone. Come back tomorrow and see me talk more about .NET. We're going to try to get those view controllers and stuff up and running. And we're just going to have some more fun with .NET. So take care and thanks for attending. See ya.